Hello, I'm your host, Paul Young, and with me is parent education expert Stephanie Risley. Welcome to another episode of Surviving the Teen Years.
Thanks, Paul. The early teenage years are often stressful for both adolescents and their parents. Teens may be confused about the physical and emotional changes they experience, while at the same time their parents might be facing their own midlife crises. Or sometimes parents worry simply about getting older when they compare their own energy level or lack of it to their child's youth and vitality.
And parents often worry that their kids will experience violence and negative peer pressure, become addicted to drugs, drop out of school, develop eating disorders, or even become suicidal in response to the many pressures and stresses they may face.
You're right. Parents do worry. But most young people function well through the teenage years and go on to become contributing members of society. In this series of 10 videos, we will examine teenage behavior and help parents identify the issues that require serious intervention. We will look at ways parents can help their children grow into healthy adults.
Thank you, Stephanie. The topic of today's program is the family dynamic, the way members of a family interact with one another and their teens. Let's watch a scene of a family preparing for dinner.
Oh, good, John. Dinner's almost ready. Why don't you put away Sammy's toys and set the table?
Excuse me? I just got home.
Come on, don't be so lazy.
Why do I gotta do it?
Just do as you're told.
Screw that.
Excuse me?
Why can't Lisa do it? It's her damn kid.
Because your mother told you to do it.
Lisa never does anything around here.
Oh, look who's talking, huh? Mr. Useless. When is the last time you lifted a finger around this place?
When's the last time she did anything?
I am
around
not
here?
talking about her. I'm talking about you.
I'm not cleaning up after her kid.
Just do what you're told, damn it!
Dan, don't talk to him like that.
Stay out of this, Mother.
He shouldn't talk to him like that.
It's none of your business.
Could the two of you just shut up, please? Dip. Get over here and clean this up now.
No way.
All right, that's it. You're grounded for a week.
Dan, Barbara, John, and Dorothy have agreed to join us today to discuss what happened and to work with our expert to find alternative ways of dealing with the situation you just witnessed. Please welcome this family to our program. Let's talk about what went wrong. Barbara and Dan were making dinner. Grandma was babysitting Sam, and Lisa was on the phone in the next room. John came home from school and felt it wasn't his responsibility to help out. This annoyed Dan and Barbara, and a fight ensued, involving the entire family. What went wrong that affected the relationships of the whole family?
Things seemed to be okay until John came home and refused to help out. I think that's what affected the whole family.
I don't think you can entirely blame John. I mean, the kid came home from school and the first thing that he heard was to clean up after somebody else's mess.
That's true.
And what about Lisa? It was her kid. I mean, she could help out. I don't blame John at all for being angry.
Yeah, but that doesn't give him license to be disrespectful to his parents.
John, what do you think about that? Were you being disrespectful?
I just got home from the basketball tryouts. I barely get in the door and they start nagging on me to do everything.
No, that's not true. We needed your help. You know, we never ask him to do anything because he makes such a big production number out of it.
Yeah, he's constantly making these little comments, and most of the time I let them pass by, but when I'm trying to fix dinner and I need his help, they become exasperating.
Stephanie, what do you think about all this?
Well, Dan and Barbara have a right to be frustrated by John's action, but they have to be aware of the fact that one of the ways teenagers get attention is by causing conflict.
So John felt a lack of attention, and he acted rudely in order to get attention.
It's not unusual to see this type of behavior in teenagers. In this specific case, John felt he was being treated unfairly when his sister was not expected to assume responsibility for her own child's mess. His parents invited a rebellious response because they failed to show respect for John's feelings, or they failed to even appeal to his sense of responsibility.
I'm sorry. We were making supper. You know, I just can't drop everything to appeal to John's sense of responsibility.
Wait, so why am I supposed to now drop everything?
Because it's your dinner too.
Like a lot of...
Thank you.
Like a lot of teens, John's at a transitional time in his life. He's experiencing a growing sense of independence, and yet he's still obligated to and dependent on his parents. The result of this ambivalence sometimes shows up as inappropriate or simply rude behavior.
So what are we supposed to do? Just let our kids run our lives because they're feeling insecure or because they don't feel that they're being treated fairly?
Well, a lot of time, just understanding why our teens behave as they do can give us enough perspective to deal with them calmly.
What about parents that don't get along?
Well, sometimes the parents' relationship with each other may influence the behavior of the child. And if the parents have a difficult relationship, a child may act out to deflect attention away from the parents and onto themselves.
But isn't it difficult for the parents also? I mean, watching their children become adults?
That's an excellent point. We as parents have gone from complete supervision of our children's growth to a partial supervision of our teens' growth. This natural loss of control over our child's lives can make us insecure, and it often does add conflict to the family unit.
I thought it was uncool the way his parents ragged on John.
You know, I'm sorry, son, but I tell him to do something, and he doesn't do it.
I don't think you should yell at him. I mean, it doesn't help the situation.
Well, you're right, but you know, dealing with John sometimes is hard, and I get mad.
I think pointing out John's bad attitude is better than confronting him and getting into a yelling match.
Yeah, but I mean, teens push hard, and sometimes it's difficult not to lose your temper.
I think it's important to blow off steam so that things don't stay bottled up.
Stephanie, what do we do when we get angry with our teens?
Well, a lot depends on the situation. It's difficult to step back, but more often it's harmful to hold in our anger. Eventually, it gets displaced. It's okay for parents to get angry. What's important is how we express that anger. It shouldn't be directed at the personality or character of the teen. Rather, it should be directed at the specific behavior that caused that anger.
Dan, Barbara, what do you think about that?
I know I'm not supposed to yell at my kid. I know that, but it happens, and I try to be above it, and it comes out, and it comes out, and it's very hurtful, and that's not good.
I agree. I mean, I hold everything back, and then suddenly I'll lash out and call him a name, and like my husband, I know I shouldn't do that.
Well, exactly, and it often damages the avenues of communications between parents and teens.
Well, a lot of times I use sarcasm with my kid to exaggerate the situation. Mm-hmm. It allows me to blow off steam, and I don't feel that I'm hurting his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Does that work?
Yeah, but shouldn't we deal with the situation directly and honestly?
Well, sometimes humor is a good alternative. It's a way of diffusing frustrating situations as long as it's not malicious. Sarcasm, however, can be harmful because it tends to attack a child's self-esteem. Teens are going through a tough period as they search for a sense of identity, and it's important that parents don't damage that search.
That's great advice about dealing with frustration, but how do we get our teens to share in family responsibilities?
Well, I don't mind doing something as long as it's fair. But what annoys me is that they constantly bug me.
What are we supposed to do? We ask him to do something and he doesn't do it.
We hold family meetings at our house, and we divvy up the chores and air out any concerns of the household. You might want to try something like that.
Who has time to get everyone together, let alone get teenagers to sit still for a long time for a family meeting? I mean, come on, let's be realistic here.
We have family meetings in my house for only 1 hour for each Sunday night. We talk about what's going on, what the problems are, and we solve it, and it seems to work.
That's great. Good for you.
Well, family meetings are an excellent way to structure ongoing communication and to provide a framework in which the family can function. They're a great time to assign chores. I mean, it's important, though, to discuss what needs to get done, when it will be done, and how it will be done. This allows the teen to make choices and decisions and empowers him or her with a sense of responsibility. Everyone should be able to voice his or her concern regarding what is fair, and then compromises can be made accordingly.
I agree with that. What do you guys think?
Okay, I have an issue. What about Dan? Shouldn't he have treated John with more consideration and respect?
Mom, John's a kid. The older he gets, the more respect he'll command.
If that's true, then she's the one that should get the most respect because she's your grandma. And look how you treated her.
Dan, what do you think?
And I apologize, and you're right. But she sides with the kids all the time. In her eyes, they can do no wrong.
That isn't true.
No, Mom, that's true.
No, it just isn't.
Actually, sometimes I think Lisa and John take advantage of their grandmother, and I want Lisa to take responsibility for Sam. And a lot of times she just dumps that responsibility on Grandma.
I just don't mind at all. I really like to help them out all I can.
Well, that's okay once in a while, but I want John and Lisa to learn how to take responsibility for themselves.
Well, grandparents and teens often get along well because grandparents can be more accepting and less judgmental than we as parents can. But sometimes this relationship can create problems in the family dynamic, especially when grandparents undermine parental authority. Parents need to express clearly what is acceptable for their children, and grandparents need to respect the parents' wishes. One of the most important things to remember is that we provide an example for our children. The way we deal with conflict and confrontation should be the way we want our children to behave toward us and others.
Now let's summarize some of the key ideas from this section.
Number 1, express your angry feelings without attacking the teenager's character. Number 2, organize a time for family discussions. Number 3, the adults in a family can provide a set of values by setting a good example.
With these strategies in mind, would you guys like another chance at this situation?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, John.
Hey, John.
How'd it go today?
Oh, and great. I made the first cut.
Yeah?
All right.
But I got some stiff competition in the next round. I don't know.
Oh, sweetheart, I know you're going to do just fine.
Thanks.
John, honey, I know you're probably tired, but can you help out with dinner by picking up some of Sammy's toys and setting the table?
I don't think it's my day to set the table.
It says here on the schedule, you're the guy.
Well, okay, I don't have a problem with it then. But I do have a problem with cleaning up after Sam. It's Lisa's responsibility.
Remember what we talked about at the family meeting last night about pitching in and trying to help your sister with Sammy?
Yeah, I said I'd pitch in and help out every once in a while when she needed it. Not when she's yakking on the phone.
He does have a point. You want me to talk to her?
No, I'll do it. You two keep an eye on dinner. And Mom, you keep an eye on these guys.
Stir that up.
What a difference. Didn't that feel much better?
Yes, definitely. I think that having the list of chores and responsibilities made it a whole lot easier to distribute them fairly.
Right, and it helps as a reference in solving these little disputes.
How about you, John?
I felt like they cared about what I was doing, which made me want to care about what they were doing.
Well put.
I'd like to add that it wasn't just the schedule, but it was the family meeting where we made up the schedule that made the difference. Because it was there that we learned to communicate better and really to understand each other better and what's going on in all of our lives.
That's wonderful. And I'm glad the suggestions and discussions have been helpful. Now, let's take a look at another family.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'll meet you at the mall at 7. Yeah, I can go right after dinner. No problem. I'll just tell my mom I'm going to the library. I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. What do you want?
Who was that?
None of your business.
I know who it was.
Then why'd you ask, you geek?
Mom?
Shut up.
Mom?
What's going on?
She's going to the mall with Jackie again.
I am not.
Amy, I thought I told you to stay away from her.
I am.
She is not. She's going to tell you that she's going to the library and really go to the mall with Jackie.
You little brat.
Leave him alone. You did the right thing.
Why are you taking his side?
He didn't do anything. He never does. You're the one that always gets into trouble.
He listened in on my whole conversation.
Well, thank goodness. Otherwise, I'll never find out you're lying.
But, Mom!
I don't want to hear it. I told you I don't want you hanging out with her.
She's my friend.
She's a loser.
No, she's not.
You are not seeing her.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. Now go to your room.
Judy, Amy, and Roger have agreed to join us today to discuss what happened and to work with our expert to find different ways of dealing with the situation you just witnessed. Please welcome them to our program. That didn't turn out very well, did it? Let's start with our audience. What went wrong?
He shouldn't have told on his sister. He instigated the whole situation.
Yeah, but what about Amy lying to her mother?
She shouldn't have lied, but I don't blame her for getting mad. I mean, Roger was just trying to cause trouble, and he looked like he enjoyed getting Amy in trouble.
Is that true, Roger?
I don't think Amy should lie to Mom.
He doesn't care. He just wanted to get me in trouble. He does it all the time.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Here we go again. They go at each other all the time. It's difficult for me not to get frustrated with them, especially with Amy since she's older and should know better.
I don't think that's fair. I mean, expecting that from Amy. I mean, she's not that much older than Roger, and Roger seems to know how to work it.
I think that Judy made the situation worse by encouraging Roger to tattle on Amy.
Exactly. I feel like they're getting up on me. Roger plays little angel for Mom by telling on me, and she rewards him for it.
You tell on me all the time.
Not as much as you do. And when I do it, it's because you started it.
Stephanie, do you have any suggestions?
Sometimes siblings are motivated to get each other in trouble because it's a way for them to win favor and affection from their parents, often at the expense of other sibling. As parents, we should discourage this behavior by not getting involved in sibling disputes. Also, parental involvement inhibits the ability of brothers and sisters to resolve their own disagreements.
Wow. I don't know about that, because if I left my kids alone, when they argue, they would just kill each other. So I have to step in.
Well, of course, if physical violence is a threat, parents should definitely intervene. Parents must make it absolutely clear that any sort of violence against a sibling is unacceptable.
When my kids go at it, I feel like I have to step in just to get some peace and quiet.
I understand, but the problem with that approach is that when parents step in, the whole issue shifts and becomes less about the initial dispute and more about winning parental approval. This just encourages sibling rivalry.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, I try to get them to resolve their problems, but it always turns into a three-ring circus.
Well, actually, in this situation, we're dealing with a complicated issue. Amy is sneaking out with her friend, so this is not a simple dispute. She was doing something her mother should know about. The primary issue here is why Amy feels she has to lie to her mother.
Well, my mom always asks my little sister, like, what I'm up to, and it's like if she's like a little spy for my mom.
Sometimes a parent may provoke the rivalry to use one child to help control the other. Parents should avoid comparing and complaining about one sibling to another. This only makes the rivalry worse. In this case, Judy should have paid less attention to Roger's tattling and focused more on speaking calmly to Amy. Judy should make it clear to Roger that the issue is between Amy and herself.
Okay, but when Roger tells me about the trouble that Amy is causing, how can I ignore it? Especially when Amy's so secretive. And I think I have a right to know what's being said in my own house.
I think Judy has a point. I mean, if Roger hadn't said what he overheard, then Amy would have gotten away with lying.
But he shouldn't have listened to her private phone conversation. I mean, how would you like it if someone listened to your conversations?
Well, I think what our audience is alluding to, and it's one of the most delicate and important issues that parents have to face in raising a teenager, is the parent's right to know versus a teen's right to privacy.
I don't think there should be any secrets among family members.
What? That doesn't make sense. I mean, like, I don't want to know everything about my parents, and I don't want my parents to know everything about me.
Actually, you're both right. A healthy family should provide a setting where members can be open and honest with each other.
Yeah, but as parents, shouldn't we be aware of what's going on with our teenagers' lives?
Yes, but we should also not be threatened by their need for privacy, which is essential for their growing sense of personal identity. As pre-adolescents, they didn't require as much privacy and were more dependent on us. Now, as teenagers, they seem to be withdrawing from us and spending more time with their friends and in their own private little worlds. It's hard to know what's happening in their lives. And I know this sounds simple, but the best way to find out what's happening in their lives is to ask them.
But what about when our teens don't tell us anything and they lie and sneak around like Amy did to her mom?
Well, the teen's right to privacy and choice of friends comes with responsibility. It has limits. When those limits are exceeded, when a teenager violates a parent's trust by such thing as lying, cheating, stealing, or using drugs, parents have the right to intervene. Sometimes this could be a sign that something is seriously wrong in the family.
But what do we do when we only suspect that our teens are being deceptive?
That's a difficult situation. Anytime we violate their privacy, we're also violating their trust. If you suspect them, sit down and ask openly about your suspicions. Explain to them the risks involved in such bad behavior and deception.
So Judy had a right to discipline Amy.
I don't blame Amy for trying to cover up, because her mom's like a total control freak.
What was I supposed to do? I told Amy not to hang out with Jackie, and I find out she's lying to me.
But she lied to you because you wouldn't allow her to go out with her friend.
I didn't allow her to see her friend because I don't think her friend is a good influence. I'm just trying to protect Amy.
Then what's the difference between protecting and controlling?
Yeah, Stephanie, how do we know how much control is too much and how much is too little?
That is an excellent question. Unfortunately, there are no clear-cut answers. A teen might be sneaky and lie if she is overly controls, fears punishment, or feels hindered from doing what she really wants to do. A teen who has little parental control could end up lacking the ability to become a responsible adult. Either way, the teen could grow up lacking self-confidence and could be unable to make important decisions on her own. Guide your teenager into making responsible decisions appropriate for her age.
How can I build trust with Amy so she doesn't feel she has to lie to me?
Judy can talk to Amy about how she is feeling and why she can't be truthful. Judy needs to allow Amy to feel it is safe to talk to her without getting into trouble. Remember, as parents, we should be open, honest, and accepting of our teens, but within a framework which sets clear guidelines and responsible limits. We should spell out the consequences to our teens for failing to act responsibly within those limits. As teens demonstrate greater responsibility, parents can grant more privileges and freedom. This is all part of the ongoing interaction between parents and their teens.
Now let's summarize some of the key ideas from this section.
Number 1, respect your teen's right to privacy within appropriate limits. Number 2, let siblings resolve their own disagreements. Number 3, avoid using your children against each other. Number 4, provide an environment in which your teen feels it is safe to be truthful.
Given what we've talked about, would you like to try the scene again?
Sure. Definitely. Yeah.
Mom, Amy's going to see Jackie at the mall.
Shut up!
Maybe don't speak to your brother that way.
I overheard her on the phone.
All right, time out. Roger, I know you have better things to do than to listen to Amy's phone calls.
Not really.
Well, maybe we can find some things around the house for you to do to keep busy.
That's okay. I got homework.
Seriously, though, it's fine to be concerned about Amy, but you do need to respect her privacy, okay?
Yeah, but she's going to the mall.
It's not right to tattle on your sister. You don't like it when she tattles on you, do you?
No, I guess not.
Now, would you please excuse us? I need to talk to Amy in private. Roger shouldn't have done that, but we need to talk about Jackie. I don't want you to feel like you have to lie to me about her or anything else.
What am I supposed to do? You told me I can't see her, and she's my friend.
I have to admit, I do have problems with her.
Mom, I'm aware of Jackie's faults. But that doesn't mean she's a bad person. And doesn't mean that I'll become like her just because I'm hanging around her. I like being around her. She's fun.
Well, fun I don't have problems with. Trouble I do.
I wish you would just trust me.
Oh, I do. Let's figure out a way so that you can see your friend and we'll both be comfortable. Why don't you invite her over sometime so I can get to know her better?
Okay.
What a difference. How did that feel?
Much better. I'm glad Amy could confide in me. And I think we all have a greater respect for each other's privacy.
Yeah, I feel like my mom trusts me, so I don't have to hide things from her.
Roger, how about you?
Yeah, I guess it was better.
Now let's review some of the ideas we've discussed today.
Number 1, express your angry feelings without attacking the teenager's character. Number 2, organize a time for family discussion. Number 3, provide a good example. Number 4, respect teen privacy within appropriate limits. Number 5, stay out of sibling disagreements. Number 6, avoid provoking sibling rivalry. Number 7, guide your teenager toward making responsible decisions. These 7 points can help improve the way your family interacts. An excellent way to implement these new parenting skills with your teen is to keep a daily journal. Write down how you express your angry feelings, how you structure family meetings and resolve conflicts. Write down how you handle your children's fighting, what steps you take to encourage truth-telling, and how you guide your teen into responsible decision-making. Then note how your teen responds to your efforts.
Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you for participating in today's program. We look forward to working with you again in our next episode of Surviving the Teen Years.